Have you ever experienced the sensation of living a life that doesn't genuinely belong to you? As if you're donning a mask that was handed to you before you had the opportunity to make your own choices? From the moment we enter the world, society starts to shape us, instructing us on who we ought to be, what we should want, and even how we should think. But what if I told you that a significant portion of what you consider to be your identity is simply a construct, an image formed by outside influences rather than your authentic self? Carl Jung, a prominent figure in psychology, referred to this as the false self, a persona we create to conform to societal expectations while hiding the deeper, more genuine aspects of who we are. Today, we will explore how this false identity comes into being and, more crucially, how you can liberate yourself from it. As children, we are like blank slates, absorbing everything around us: the expectations of our parents, cultural norms, religious doctrines, and societal values. Initially, we don't question these influences. We take them for granted, assuming they are as natural as the air we breathe. However, the reality is that they are not inherent. They are constructs passed down through generations, molding us into what society considers acceptable. Reflect on this. How many of your beliefs about success, love, or happiness are genuinely your own? Did you determine what a fulfilling life looks like, or was it defined for you by others? If you had been born into a different family, in another country, or during a different era, would your values remain the same? This is where the concept of the false self originates, in the subtle acceptance of roles, labels, and expectations that may not reflect your true identity. Jung referred to this as the persona, the facade we adopt to navigate society, to gain acceptance, and to receive love. While it is somewhat necessary, as we need to operate within social structures, the risk lies in confusing this mask with our genuine self. When we completely align ourselves with this external persona, we disconnect from our deepest self, the core essence that remains concealed beneath layers of societal conditioning. But what occurs when we exist solely through this false self? Feelings of anxiety, dissatisfaction, and a persistent sense that something is lacking can arise, even when it appears we have everything. Have you ever felt as though you are merely acting, reciting lines from a script you never authored? This reflects the psychological toll of ignoring your true nature. Jung posited that suppressing our authentic self leads to internal strife. The aspects of ourselves that clash with the persona, our aspirations, fears, and distinctive traits, do not vanish. They are merely relegated to the unconscious, creating what he termed the shadow self. The more we repress, the more we struggle. We might pursue success, relationships, or material possessions, hoping they will fill the emptiness. Yet deep down, we recognize that something is amiss. Think about those individuals who attain everything society claims will bring them happiness: a respected job, financial stability, and social acclaim, only to discover a sense of emptiness within. This illustrates the concept of the false self. It drives us to keep moving, striving, and performing, yet we never find true peace. If we don't address this, we may one day realize we've lived a life that isn't genuinely ours. So, how can we liberate ourselves? The first step is to cultivate awareness. You cannot escape a prison you do not recognize. Begin by questioning the beliefs you've inherited. Reflect on whether this is truly what you desire. Does this belief resonate with your inner truth? Or is it something you've accepted without scrutiny? Jung highlighted the significance of individuation, the ongoing journey of discovering your true self. This process goes beyond societal conditioning and demands profound self-exploration. It involves tuning into the quiet voice within you that has been overshadowed by external expectations. It requires embracing discomfort, as the truth can often be unsettling. One of the most effective methods to reconnect with your authentic self is through inner dialogue, journaling, meditation, or engaging in candid conversations with yourself. Ask yourself, if I removed all the expectations of who I should be, who would I truly be? The answer may not come right away, but each moment of self-reflection diminishes the hold of the false self. The path to rediscovering your authentic self isn't about entirely rejecting societal norms or forsaking all obligations. Rather, it's about finding a way to integrate and navigate through life without losing your essence. It's about reclaiming the aspects of yourself that have been suppressed and allowing them to flourish once more. Picture waking up one day and realizing that you no longer feel the need to prove anything to anyone, that your value isn't dependent on outside approval, and that you can simply exist. This encapsulates the true essence of freedom. Jung's insights remind us that self-awareness is crucial for liberation. When you start to recognize the false self for what it truly is, a role or a construct you've built, the opportunity for something more profound emerges, a life that is genuinely yours. This, perhaps, is where authentic living truly begins. The shadow isn't innate, it is formed during childhood. We begin as raw and unfiltered beings, expressing our emotions openly. But as we mature, we learn to categorize emotions as good or bad. We receive praise for conforming to certain behaviors and experience shame for deviating from them. The child who shows anger is reprimanded. The one who cries excessively is told to be stronger. The one who challenges authority is deemed troublesome. Gradually, we adjust. We suppress the parts of ourselves that don't conform to societal expectations. The anger doesn't vanish, it becomes buried. The sadness doesn't fade, it lurks beneath a forced smile. The yearning for freedom and rebellion doesn't disappear, it morphs into a subtle bitterness. All these suppressed elements create what Jung referred to as the shadow self, the part of us we deny but can never fully escape. However, the shadow doesn't remain quiet. It infiltrates our lives in ways we may not recognize. It manifests in our irrational fears, our judgments of others, and the self-destructive habits we struggle to break. We may believe we are in control, but in truth, the shadow is manipulating things from behind the scenes. Have you ever felt an inexplicable dislike for someone or reacted in a way that surprised you? That's the shadow at play. It flourishes in secrecy, affecting our emotions, relationships, and choices without our conscious awareness. The more we reject it, the stronger it becomes. Yet, there is a path forward. Jung posited that the journey to genuine self-awareness involves integrating the shadow rather than trying to eliminate it. The aim is not to achieve purity or perfection, but to attain wholeness. This requires confronting the parts of yourself you've been avoiding and asking, what am I ashamed of? What aspects of myself do I hide? Instead of casting these elements aside, it involves bringing them into the open. When you integrate your shadow, a powerful transformation occurs. You cease to be governed by unconscious influences. Stop projecting your fears onto others and become more authentic and free. True strength is not found in denial. It lies in the bravery to confront yourself completely, without fear. When you do this, you start to unlock something even more profound: the journey of individuation, which is the process of becoming your authentic self. From the moment we enter the world, we are handed a script, a set of rules, beliefs, and expectations that dictate who we are meant to be. We don masks to conform, suppress the parts of ourselves that clash with societal standards, and live under the false impression that we are making choices freely. However, beneath this conditioning lies something deeper, the true self that is ready to surface. Carl Jung referred to the journey of revealing this true self as individuation, a lifelong process of integrating all facets of our being, both light and dark, known and unknown. Individuation is not about self-improvement in the traditional sense. It's not about becoming a better person, but rather about becoming a more authentic one. This journey is challenging, requiring the dismantling of illusions, questioning everything you believed about yourself, and embracing the discomfort that comes with transformation. It is the most difficult endeavor you will undertake, yet also the most freeing. Once you embark on the path of individuation, you cease to live as a fragmented version of yourself and begin to experience life as a complete, integrated individual. For many, identity is something that is borrowed, shaped by parents, educators, cultural traditions, and societal expectations. What occurs when you start to question your identity? What happens when you come to the realization that the version of yourself you've been presenting isn't an authentic representation of who you are, but rather a collection of influences, fears, and societal expectations? The initial step toward individuation is gaining awareness, the capacity to view yourself with unflinching honesty. You need to ask yourself, which aspects of my identity have I actively chosen, and which have been forced upon me? What beliefs do I genuinely hold, and which have I merely adopted? This kind of self-examination can be uncomfortable because it jeopardizes the stability of the false self. However, without this introspection, genuine transformation cannot occur. As you start to peel away the layers of external conditioning, you will likely encounter resistance, not only from your surroundings, but also from within yourself. The ego is afraid of change. It clings to what is known, even if that knowledge is based on falsehoods. This is why many individuals shy away from the journey of individuation. It is much simpler to conform, and remain within the confines of the familiar than to embark on a path that lacks a defined endpoint. Yet, for those who dare to take the plunge, the rewards are significant. Individuation involves integrating all the disparate elements of the self, the persona, the shadow, unconscious desires, and hidden truths, into a unified whole. It is about becoming your true self, rather than just a version of it. Those who are ready to embrace the risk will find the rewards to be significant. Individuation involves bringing together all the disparate elements of the self, the persona, the shadow, unconscious desires, and hidden truths into a unified whole. It's about becoming your true self, not merely the socially acceptable version, but the essence that lies beneath. One of the biggest misconceptions in today's world is the idea that happiness stems from external accomplishments, status, wealth, relationships, and validation. However, Jung understood that genuine fulfillment arises only when we are in harmony with our innermost nature, when we cease to live by external expectations and begin to create our own narrative. Picture waking up one day with a deep sense of inner tranquility, not because your life is flawless, but because you finally feel like you are being your true self, without masks, pretenses, or false identities, just the unfiltered, authentic truth of who you are. This is the essence of individuation, and once you start to comprehend yourself at this level, something remarkable occurs. Your entire perspective on life shifts. Self-awareness is not merely about recognizing who you are. It's about unlocking the ability to transform everything around you. Many people navigate life on autopilot, reacting instead of reflecting, following paths they never consciously selected. They pursue goals they were told would bring them happiness, adopt beliefs they never questioned, and suppress emotions they never fully understood. Yet, beneath the surface, something feels amiss, as if a soft voice is suggesting that life holds more than what we currently experience. This voice represents self-awareness, the cornerstone of personal transformation, and the key that opens all doors. Without it, we find ourselves ensnared in unconscious habits, caught in cycles of self-sabotage, confusion, and discontent. However, when we begin to look inward and genuinely comprehend ourselves, everything changes. Our choices become deliberate, our emotions clearer, and life gains a richer significance. Self-awareness goes beyond merely recognizing your strengths and weaknesses. It involves grasping the underlying forces that influence your thoughts, feelings, and actions. It means identifying your triggers, fears, deepest desires, and the beliefs that have quietly governed you for years. Most crucially, it is about regaining the ability to choose who you wish to become. Consider this: how often have you reacted to a situation in a way that later made you question what prompted that? How frequently have you felt adrift, uncertain about your true desires, or stuck in unbreakable patterns? These challenges arise not from a deficiency in effort or intelligence, but from a lack of self-awareness. Change is impossible without awareness. Jung posited that much of human suffering arises from the disconnection between the conscious and unconscious mind. The emotions we suppress, the fears we overlook, and the patterns we fail to acknowledge don't simply vanish. They influence us from behind the scenes. However, when we bring them into the light, when we cease to flee and begin to observe, everything starts to shift. Genuine self-awareness demands radical honesty. It involves enduring discomfort, confronting truths you might prefer to avoid, and embracing yourself completely, imperfections included. The more you engage in this process, the clearer your understanding becomes. You start to grasp why you feel as you do, why you make certain decisions, and most crucially, how to transform the elements of your life that no longer benefit you. The greatest misconception is that we are powerless, that we are victims of our circumstances, that our personalities are unchangeable, and that our past dictates our future. Yet, self-awareness uncovers a different reality. We are always evolving, and we possess the power to rewrite our own narratives. The moment you stop living on autopilot and begin to make conscious choices, you seize control of your future, and that is when life truly starts. If this video resonated with you, please subscribe and give it a thumbs up. It greatly supports the channel. We upload daily videos that delve into philosophy, self-discovery, and the profound questions of existence. See you in the next one.